All right, we'll get this party started. So, thanks everyone for coming up today. Today, I'll tell you guys about the basics of setting up a healthy diet, some practical nutrition stuff. And I want this to be something that you can take away and put into your day-to-day life, like right after you leave today. All right, so kind of like an overview as I go to the next slide here. I'm going to break everything down here some more, but we're going to go over like our goals and objectives, a little bit more about myself real quickly. Don't get into the meat and potatoes of things right after that. And at the end, we're going to do a little Q&A. So basically, to get to the practical tips and all that sort of thing, it's important to kind of like define our terms, lay a foundation, right? Which I go into in that next slide. And then that way, once we kind of like, understand our terms, right? Or define our things there, we can kind of broaden things and really tie it all together. All right, so just real quickly, I'll tell you some more about myself. So obviously, I'm a group exercise instructor and personal trainer at the gym. I also run a personal training business out of a local gym, Sky Athletics in Lutz, and I run a online nutrition coaching business where I've helped hundreds of clients transform their life, lose weight, and keep it off, right? And these are just a few client transformations. I myself, I've dropped and kept off 40 pounds. I compete in natural bodybuilding and powerlifting, but more importantly, something that you guys can kind of take away from this is that I have an Instagram page and a YouTube page where I put a lot of like nutrition tips and exercise tips and whatnot all the time that you guys might find really helpful for you. All right, so just a little bit more about myself. Let's move on and get this thing started. So, number one, the role and importance of calories, okay? So whether we want to lose a little bit of weight, maybe maintain our weight, or maybe want to gain a little muscle mass or something like that, it all comes down to the amount of calories that we take in each and every day, all right? So essentially, you're the sum of how much you eat, okay? Not necessarily what we eat, right? So there are some foods that are definitely more nutritious than others. There are some foods that are more calorically dense than others, but there's not any quote-unquote bad foods, right? Once we understand that, it makes making a healthy diet a lifestyle. It makes it easier to do that, right? Now, calories are made of macronutrients, or macros for short, and these are carbohydrates, fats, and protein, all right? So real quickly, I'm going to give you a list of some quality sources of each macronutrient, all right? And then we're going to break down each one and go into some more depth, all right? So firstly, we're going to start here with protein, all right? So when you think of protein, you want to think of a lean source, okay? So for example, chicken breast, a lean fish or a white fish like a cod, a tilapia, mahi tuna, snapper, the list goes on, right? Shrimp, a lean beef, like a sirloin tip steak, for example, right? Egg whites, a turkey breast, 90% or leaner ground meats, whether that's turkey, beef, chicken, venison, right? Like the list goes on there. Pork tenderloin, tofu, tempeh, seitan, and edamame are some good vegetarian options as well. Now, some easy win, kind of no cooking, grab and go type protein options would be things like deli meats, like a turkey breast, chicken breast, roast beef, or ham, all right? Especially for those busy days, if you need to get something quick on the go. Beef jerky, protein powders, non-fat Greek yogurt, low-fat or non-fat cottage cheese. These are some good protein options that don't require any cooking as well, all right? Moving on to carbohydrates, complex carbs, okay? Your staples would be oats, potatoes, bread, rice, pasta, and then the list goes on, like wheat-free bread, wheat-free pasta, cream of rice, fruits and veggies, right? And what are some like no cooking required carbs? Well, there'll be things like like minute rice cups that you get at Publix, right? Ready rice, wheat bread, wheat tortillas, rice cakes, just kind of easy win, emergency options right there, right? Fats, poly and monounsaturated fat sources are what I recommend putting the majority of your focus on having your daily nutrition. So these would be things like nuts and nut butters, seeds, egg yolks, olive oil, avocado oil, macadamia nut oil, let's see what else, sesame oil, right? Fatty fish like a salmon or a mackerel, great sources of fats as well, all right? So let's start breaking down each macronutrient, all right? So let's start with protein. What does protein actually do? We hear all the time that protein's good. Every commercial, there's like protein everything now, right? Like there's protein cereal puffs, there's protein, I don't know, pasta, like all the protein things. What's so good about it? Well, protein aids in muscle retention and growth, okay? And to go along with that, protein also helps promote joint and ligament strength and health as well, okay? So with that in mind, it's going to have a positive impact on limiting the chance of the onset of osteopenia or osteoporosis and that sort of thing, all right? Also, protein is a very filling macronutrient, okay? It's very satiating. So I recommend having a few protein-packed meals throughout the day, all right? Now, there's also 4 calories per gram of protein. So if I had 150 grams of protein one day, 150 times 4, that's 600 calories coming from protein as an example. If you're someone that likes to take notes, that might be a good note to have for like future reference, right? And I'm going to make these slides available. Maybe we'll make like a little condensed thing that you guys can have later on as well. Moving on to carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are essentially our body's preferred energy source. It's basically fuel for our body's engine, right? So basically what happens is when we eat carbs, it's broken down and stored as glycogen in our muscles and our liver, and then made into a readily available blood glucose when our body needs to create energy, okay? So with that in mind, there's no need to fear carbs, okay? They're not inherently evil, right? I mean, excess calorie intake above my maintenance calorie intake from any macronutrient can lead to weight gain, all right? So this makes our life easier knowing that we don't have to, fear one specific macronutrient. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram as well, okay? So if I had 200 grams of carbohydrate one day, 200 times 4, that's 800 calories right there, all right? Moving on to fats. So fats are very important as well, all right? So they do give our body energy, but it's more so for lower intensity activity like what I'm doing here right now, just standing here talking, right? Fats are also very important for supporting cell function. And then some other roles are nutrient absorption, hormone production like testosterone. It's going to be directly impacted by the amount and type of fat that we take in our diet. Also aids in proper digestion. So there's a whole bunch of things that fats do, and they are very important as well. Now, saturated fats, it can lead to elevated levels of that quote-unquote, bad LDL cholesterol levels, right? And what are some saturated fat sources? Well, it would be things like butter, bacon, cheese, sausage, fatty cuts of meat, like, maybe like the porterhouse steak or something like that, right? So no need to eliminate these foods. Just try to keep them to a minimum and focus on the poly and monounsaturated fat sources that we went over earlier, right? So it's important to kind of make that distinction as well. All right, so we've laid a good foundation here, right? So now let's start tying it together. Let's go over some practical steps that you can realistically follow to set up a healthy, structured day of eating, all right? So since our caloric intake is going to indicate our body composition, progress with managing weight, that sort of thing, it's important to know that and remember that fats have more than twice the calories of the other 2 macronutrients, right? So with that in mind, it's easier to overconsume calories from dietary fats because of that reason, right? So here are a few easy ways to lower calorie intake from dietary fats to help with that, right? To support our cause more. One way that's easy is to choose a leaner meat, all right? Let me give you some examples here, right? So maybe more often we're going with the flank steak or the sirloin tip steak instead of the ribeye. Maybe the chicken breast instead of the chicken thigh. Maybe like a 90% or leaner, 93.7, 96.4, 99.1, ground beef, turkey, chicken, etc., right? That's an easy one right there. Another one would be to cook with cooking spray a little bit more often as opposed to putting a bunch of butter in a pan to cook or a bunch of oil. Like I could go to saute some veggies, right? And if I go, oh, I'm just gonna put a little olive oil in my pan to saute them in, hey, I might go, hey, this is a healthy fat. All right, here we go, right? And I'm putting in all the oil. Those calories count, right? It's more of an empty calorie there because it's not really filling. I'm not really noticing it. So if I made that little swap, or if I just measured out the amount of oil I was using, I'm going to go, oh, I put a teaspoon in here to saute the veggies. That's going to lower calories easily. I'm not even going to notice that I made that adjustment, right? So that's like an easy win right there, right? It's like the low-hanging fruit, if you will, right? Now, I like to recommend constructing meals of single ingredient foods. And why is this? Meals with fewer ingredients help control calorie intake. I mean, in fact, I could have a meal that's pretty voluminous, but if it's made of single ingredient sources of each macronutrient, it could be lower in calories, keep me satiated, keep me full, and keep me getting in good nutrition all day long. And I wanted to give you an example right here where we've got, protein, chicken breast, right? Carbohydrate, we've got some rice, right? All right, and then maybe, fat. Maybe we're putting olive oil on this meal and like a low-calorie carb in the salad there on the side, right? Kind of a boring example, but it just kind of illustrates that example a little bit more, how if there's just this simple approach, it really helps tie things together, all right? And let me get in a little bit deeper here. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret, all right? So I have something I like to call the Coach Ben patented 3 to 5 ingredient per meal structure, all right? So what I recommend, it's something that I've done to lose the weight and keep it off, and in my clients as well, is number one, always start with protein, all right? So pick your protein source. We went through all of the options before, right? So protein first, all right? So let's say, for example, we chose, like a whitefish or something, right? Number two, add your main or complex carb for the meal, all right? And then third, add a produce source, a vegetable or a fruit, all right? And then tie it together with 1 or 2, maybe 3 lower calorie condiments to make your food enjoyable to eat, seasoned to taste. Don't be afraid of salt, okay? You're not gonna wanna stick to a diet that's just full of plain, boring food, right? So let me give you an actual visual example, all right? Because look, if I'm just throwing words out, like I need to see something, I'm a visual learner, right? So let me give you an actual example, right? So if we're going protein first, in this example meal, right, let's say we chose chicken breast, right? This could be pork tenderloin, it could be whitefish, it could be flank steak, right? Let's just say we chose chicken breast, right? Second, we need a carbohydrate, right? So maybe we went with rice as in this example, right? Third, add a produce source. So let's say here we've got some broccoli, and apparently we have some cucumber as well, and then a few low-calorie condiments. Maybe we're putting a little soy sauce on this meal and a little measured out olive oil or something, right? Kind of illustrates my purpose. There's like 5-ish ingredients there, right? And there we go, right? Now you may be asking, okay, now I know how I should go about like approaching a meal, how to set it up. How many meals should I have a day and why? And then that's a really good question, right? I recommend 3 to 5 protein-packed meals every 3 to 6 hours, and it's for this reason, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, but it's going to manage your hunger levels. It's going to keep you full, right? So this way we can have a decent-sized meal spread throughout the day, and it's going to keep us on track, and it's going to reduce the urge to snack if I have this structure in my day, right? And that's kind of leads me to the next point. It creates balanced structure for the day. So if you go, oh, I'm going to have 4 meals a day, well, hey, that is when I'm going to eat, right? I'm not going to have a snack or something while I'm watching a ball game at night. I know that I'm going to have a nice, nutritious dinner, and my hunger levels will be lower, help me stay on track a little bit better, right? And then for like a lower consideration, like a tier 3 consideration, for those of us who have some fitness-related goals, it can help elevate muscle protein synthesis, which is essentially a signal for our bodies to grow some muscle in response to our workouts in the gym. So there is some benefit to having protein throughout the day. But again, the other reasons I mentioned before, keeping satiation in a good spot and creating structure for your day, I would say, are a little bit more important, right? So this is a simple day of eating based on this format. Again, this is to give an example. You don't have to eat any of these foods. In fact, I would recommend you take this approach and make it specific to you, to your taste buds. Make it your own, right? So I'm just going to strictly just give this example to illustrate my purpose or my example a little bit more, right? So let's say you're like, okay, look, I work for a living, or I've got things to do during the day. I've got to bring the kids or the grandkids to practice at night, or to have some engagement every morning that I have to do. So like I get up at 5 in the morning every day. I only have time to eat between 5:30 and 6, and then the day gets started at 7 or 7:30 or whatever. Like I don't have time to eat for a while. Okay, well hey, maybe we're having our breakfast in the morning, and let's use that approach some more of the meal structure, right? So number one, I need a protein source. Let's say, for example, I was making an omelet, all right? I want this to be a protein source, right? So to start off with, so maybe I'm going with some egg whites, and I'm adding 2 whole eggs or something, right? Instead of having 6 whole eggs and having more calories from dietary fat, maybe I'm lowering that a little bit by making that a little swap right there. Secondly, I need a carb, right? So maybe I am adding the oats, right? Maybe I'm having a bowl of oatmeal on the side. Third, I need a produce source. So maybe I'm putting some berries in my oatmeal, and then maybe some sauteed veggies in my omelet. Condiment, maybe I'm putting some hot sauce on the eggs and like cinnamon on my oats or something, right? There we go. We got a balanced meal that we can have every day. It's very filling. The oats are a fibrous carbohydrate. That's a great one to keep you, again, full and satiated as well, and fuel for the day. In addition to that, meal to lunch. So let's say I'm, at I have a lunch break at work between 12 and 12:30, right? Or I'm going to be out doing something, and in order to not take that 30 minutes I have and just run to the nearest drive-thru to eat something, maybe I'm bringing something with me. And I need it to be easy, right? I need it to be simple. So maybe I'm just making like a simple sandwich, right? So maybe I'm bringing that with me, right? So protein first, deli meat. Let's say I'm going with a deli turkey breast, right? And then I need a carb, so maybe I'm getting some wheat bread, making a sandwich, putting some veggies on that sandwich, onion, tomato, lettuce, pickles, etc. And then maybe like an apple on the side for like a dessert or something like that, right? Condiment, you may be putting like a mustard on that sandwich instead of mayo, or maybe I'm going with a light mayo instead of the regular stuff, just to lower those calories a little bit, right? Same approach at dinner. Maybe I'm getting home, I'm bringing the kids home from practice, we're going to eat together as a family. Maybe we're firing up the grilling a lean protein source. Let's say we went with chicken breast, right? We're going to have a baked potato on the side. So maybe we're doing that. We're having some steamed veggies, and then something like, instead of having the loaded potato, maybe I'm putting some light sour cream on there instead of the cheese, the bacon, the butter, etc., right? And again, this is just an example for you guys to follow along with. Now, let's move on here. Food label basics. It's important to be able to read those food labels accurately so we can make some educated decisions when we're shopping, so we could stay on track, all right? And let me give you an example here, okay? So when you look at a food label, they're going to give you a weight measurement and also a volume measurement for most things, but ounces or grams. So we have 4 ounces, 112 grams, that's 4 ounces, that's 28 grams to 1 ounce. There's also going to be a volume measurement. So like if you have, if you look at a container of oats, right? It's going to say 1 cup or half a cup or 40 grams. Like you don't have those 2 things, right? Let's look at our example here, all right? So let's say I want to make some burgers, want to have a barbecue on the weekend with some friends, right? We got, the championship coming up this weekend. We want to fire up the grill and make some burgers, right? Cool. So we head to the store to pick up some ground beef, right? Okay, the 8515 has 16 grams of fat, and it's got 20 some odd grams of protein, right? The 93.7 ground beef per 4 ounces has 8 grams of fat and 20 some odd grams of protein. So the same serving size of the 8515 has almost twice the calories. So that's why it's important to be able to read those food labels, right? I can make that easy swap and not even know the difference, right? I can still have that burger and be just fine, right? So it's important just to check those food labels when we're doing our shopping, when we're at the store, okay? The food scale, is it? What's that?
It's a slash mark written on the package, like 8515,
Yes, it is. It will say it. Yep, so do I have like the 85% or 8515? Yeah, yep. So if you take a look at that, it will show that, and then it'll also, Kirk, show the macro breakdown. So I'm saying my tippy toes here. So like the fats, the carbs, the protein, that's where the calories are coming from. So it'll show that there as well. Yep, and that's a poor consideration. Thanks for stopping me there. Now, The food scale, do we need it? No, guys. I just want to make mention of the fact that maybe weighing foods once or twice can be beneficial for this reason. I want to be able to guesstimate my serving sizes, right, going forward and that sort of thing. So if I weigh it 1 or 2 times, that can help. Let me give you an example. If I meant to have a 6-ounce sirloin for dinner, but I've never weighed out, what a 6-ounce sirloin actually is, it can be tough to make that decision. I could throw a 12-ounce sirloin on the grill, meaning to have 6. Now I'm having twice the calories just because I didn't take that time to do that work ahead of time, right? So if I just weighed it 1 time, I could go, oh, this is what 6 ounces looks like for the rest of my life, right? So it's worth the investment. You don't have to use it forever, and again, you don't even have to use it at all, right? It's also a personality thing. Like, oh, I like doing that. I like the structure, cool. But hey, I'm all about making this practical. So, just portion sizes, guesstimating it really can help. And Ryan, it kind of leads me into that next point. When I set up a meal, I like to use I like to call it the plate rule. Whether we're doing it literally or figuratively, this will get the job done, right? So I'll split that plate into thirds, right? So if we got a large plate there, right? So I can take that large plate, split into thirds, like a third with a lean protein source, right? Whether it's like a fish or a chicken breast, etc., that we went over before. Another third would be my complex carbohydrate, and then the next third would be my produce source, so a vegetable or a fruit. There we go. This way we're getting in a satisfying meal, right? Plenty of food, but it keeps me on track with my goals and my targets and something I can realistically do, right? I don't have to break out that food scale for the rest of my life. I can just do this and be just fine, right? Now, I'll just tie things all together here. Here's some general tips for success, right? To kind of recap. Reduce some high-calorie foods, majority of the time. Like limit quantities of cheese, bacon, sausage, that sort of thing, okay? Go with a lower calorie condiment, like a soy sauce, like a hot sauce, like vinegars, like mustard, right? There's even sugar-free condiments, low-calorie condiments, things like sugar-free ketchup or sugar-free barbecue or sugar-free maple syrup, right? Like if I had 2 tablespoons of sugar-free maple syrup in my oatmeal, it's going to make it taste pretty good, With anything, the dosage is the poison, right? You definitely do not have to eat those foods if you don't want to. I've just found with myself that it just makes my diet more enjoyable, right? Because I don't want to eat boring food, right? I mean, I could drink too much water and have that be a problem, right? Another consideration would be to limit alcohol consumption, right? So if I reduce my alcohol consumption to go, oh, I'm going to go to the tavern every Friday night and have a beer with my friends, that's great, right? Let's do it once or twice a week. Maybe we're going to have 1 beer. Maybe we're going to have 2. Just maybe we're not going to have 6, right? And maybe we keep it to, oh, that's my Friday night event, right? I have the social gathering. That way we can make this a lifestyle. And then earlier in the week, we can stay on track with having that structure of going, all right, I'm going to save this for the weekend or the Friday night or whatever, right? Prioritize balanced meals. Eat larger protein-packed meals throughout the day. This will keep you full and keep hunger levels at bay, right? Minimize added fats. Like we talked about, the cooking spray can help instead of oils and butter. Like, if I was trying to make an omelet and I'm putting butter in the pan, hey, I can put egg whites in the pan. Those calories are adding up, and I didn't even think of it because I put that in the pan, right? Maintain meal frequency, have a few meals every day, 3, 4, 5, right? Every few hours. Don't worry about weighing your vegetables ever, okay? If you're like, all right, I want to weigh some foods a few times to get a good educated guess, if you will, on guesstimating serving sizes. Don't worry about the veggies, okay? And then, cook at home when you can, right? Limit dining out to a couple times a week, right? This helps better control calorie intake because I know at home, I can make something and I know exactly what's going in there, right? And we're going to talk about how to dine out and be successful with that here in just a sec, but just want to make note of that. And also, the patience is key, right? Like if I have some, fitness related goals, like, all right, in 2026, I want to start eating better, start living a more healthy lifestyle in that regard. It just takes consistency, guys, right? So just be patient with it, give it time. It will work, all right? So on that note, here are some general tips for dining out and staying on track, right? Like we can use the principle of single ingredient foods when scouring a menu to make a educated decision, all right? So I'll give you an example here. I'll give you a breakfast, lunch, and dinner example, all right? Not to sound like a broken record, but again, just kind of illustrate the purpose of more. So example of breakfast, like let's say I had a friend invite me out to First Watch, right? So I head over to First Watch, hang out with my friend, and maybe instead of ordering, the Belgian waffle or something, maybe I'm going to go with something like the omelet with, maybe it comes with 3 whole eggs. And I'm going to go, hey, could I swap one of the eggs for some egg whites or something? A little extra protein, a little less calories and fat. There we go. Maybe I'm having some sauteed veggies in the omelet, right? Maybe I'm pairing with a complex carb, like maybe getting some wheat toast, and then like a fruit cup on the side, right? Easy. I can still go out and get that anywhere at any breakfast cafe, right? Example lunch, for example, like I can order the buffalo chicken sandwich here at the tavern, right? It's grilled chicken on a bun, right? So I got the protein in the chicken. I got the carbohydrate in the bun, veggies, the tomato, the lettuce, pickles, whatever, right? That would be my produce source and that sort of thing, right? Example dinner, I could go to Outback, right? And I could get something like a sirloin steak with a potato and some steamed veggies, right? So I could hang out with friends, not miss out on any social gatherings, social things, that sort of thing, and stay on track with my goals, right? And for any restaurant, you can request that your order to not be cooked in oils or butter, condiments on the side. Like if I'm getting a salad or something, I could be like, hey, can I have a light dressing on the side, right? And that way I can stay on track. If I'm getting a baked potato, maybe I'm having them serve the condiments on the side. This way I could go, oh, I want to put a little bit of sour cream on there. But if it comes loaded, they're going to put all the sour cream, all the butter, all the bacon on there, right? So this way I can control that, right? And stay in alignment with my targets. And again, this helps make it a lifestyle because I can go out to eat and be just fine, right? And it makes things a lot less stressful if you have these fitness type of goals, right? Especially in the new year. Now, certain diets, are there any good or bad diets? Like keto, carnivore, intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day. What's better? What's not better? Look, at the end of the day, our overall caloric consumption is what's going to dictate our progress with, losing weight or maintaining weight, whatever, right? So with that in mind, the best diet is one you can stick to, right? The problem I've encountered with clients and whatnot who've had prior experience doing a diet like, let's just say keto, for example, is that it could be hard to stick to. Like maybe I could do it for a period of time, 30, 60, 90 days or whatever. Can I make it a lifestyle? It's tough because, after a while, you could just get sick of it. You're like, man, I can't do anything. I can't go hang out with my friends. I can't go up to the tavern and have a different meal every now and then, right? It's just not in the cards. If I take more of a balanced approach, I could have a modest amount of each macronutrient and be just fine, right? So that's why I kind of cape for just making a balanced approach, right? If you find one of these easier to stick to, that's fine, right? So I did want to mention that real quickly. Now, just to tie it all together, I want to touch on exercise here real quick, all right? Look, I know you guys are in the classes. See, we train together, right? So I'm probably telling you guys stuff you already know, but I'll just real quickly go over it. Cardio, what does cardio do? Well, it burns some calories and it promotes heart health, okay? Steady state cardio is great. That means for the duration of my cardio session, I'm doing some kind of continuous movement. Like I'm going for a brisk pace walk outside. I'm going for a jog. I'm walking on the treadmill. I'm using the elliptical at the club, something like that, right? And when I'm doing a steady state session like that, like the goal should be to work up a sweat, work up that breathing rate. That means I'm moving a little bit quicker. Let's say I'm walking on an incline treadmill. I'm walking a little bit quicker than I would normally, just kind of like walking around, right? A little brisker of a higher incline, brisker of a clip, work up a little sweat, burning some extra calories, getting the job done, right? It also lowers the barrier to entry, right? So like if I go, oh, I don't know where to start, hey, maybe just start with 5 days a week, 15 minutes walking outside. It's beautiful outside this time of year, right? That could be a great morning routine, right? Also, if I was doing that as compared to, going for an hour run every single day or something, right? Like, man, I could do that for a while, but if you're looking to just kind of get into it again or something like that, it could be good to start low and go slow. Like, lower that barrier to entry, right? Increase daily steps. You could track your steps each day. 5 to 10,000 steps is a wonderful target, especially as a starting point as you get started. All right, and this kind of forces you to be active on purpose, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm at 7,000 steps today. I want to get to 8,000. That means I'm going to do something to move, right? So then find ways to work it into your day, right? Let's say I'm bringing the kids or the grandkids or whatever to a practice or something. Like instead of just waiting for them in the car, man, I'm walking around the ball field, man, I'm taking a call, going for a walk, right? Just little things like that. Get creative with it. Have fun, right? You could train with us at the club, right? Like we have a whole bunch of group exercise classes at the club. I mean, I teach 9 classes. My colleagues teach a bunch of awesome classes. We have morning classes, night classes, pretty much middle of the day classes, weekday, weekend, different focuses, like whatever your flavor is, we've got something for you. If you're interested in personal training, you want a customized, personalized plan, hey, reach out. I would be happy to set up a time to meet with you at the club, sit down, talk about your goals, your specific situation, and then discuss the game plan going forward from there. All right. So I've got business cards around. I've got a unlimited amount, so take as many as you want for yourself or to pass to a friend or whatever. Be good to go. You can email, call, or text me anytime. Okay. That is pretty much it. I wanted to leave it open to Q&A for you guys. If you had any questions, thoughts, concerns, be happy to field those now. But I do want to thank you for coming out and sitting through, and hope you guys are able to kind of glean something from that today, all right? And if not, hey, I'll let you guys go sooner, and if I don't know the answer, I'll just make something up. So that's pretty much it. Yes, sure.
Protein is good for preventing osteoporosis and osteopenia. How does that affect it? How does that play into it? I know like strength training is good for it.
Right. So in conjunction with resistance training, it's going to help with that, right? Because now we're getting that muscle, that ligament stronger, right? So let's say I was resistance training, but my protein intake was very, very low. I would essentially be breaking down the muscle, but I'm not really rebuilding it with that. Fuel is not really the word I want to use, but for lack of better words, right? Like that fuel, if you will, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So this way I'm breaking down that muscle tissue. I'm getting that stimulus. I'm also kind of like feeling it to rebuild. I think that's more of the word I was going for. So yeah, it's an important one as well, because there's that, and also it's filling, right? Like it keeps us staying structured and on track there. So, and then yeah, Kirk, like you asked before, like you always look at those food labels. It'll tell you like, oh, there's this much fat, this much carb, this much protein. It also say like for carbohydrates, it'll give you a fiber intake there. So if it's a little bit higher in fiber, it's more of a complex carb. It's a little bit slower digesting, keeps you full, right? So that could be a good consideration as well. Like if you're shopping for like some kind of carbohydrate, right? So like a wheat bread or something, there's gonna be some more carbohydrate or fiber in there as opposed to like the white bread or something, a little bit slower digesting, and there you go. And also keeps digestion in a good spot. So yeah, so it's something I always check when I'm looking at the labels myself. So yeah.
I've always heard that they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I haven't really do that myself. What are your thoughts?
So really the best routine is one that fits the best meal approach, the best diet approach is that one you can stick to yourself. If you're like, I am just not hungry in the morning, I get up late and I stay up late working, then maybe your first meal will be around 11 o'clock or something. I like having breakfast because it creates structure for my day. So it's fueling my day for performance as well. So if I'm having the protein, I'm having the carbohydrates give me energy, so I can have good energy to take on my work tasks right away, right? So now I've got that structure. I'm kind of like filling up my gas tank, if you will, but there's that, right? So like I said, if you're like, I'd rather just have my first meal around 11 o'clock or something, that's fine, right? I just want to also keep that hunger at bay too, right? So if you're like, I'm not going to eat till later, but now I'm super hungry and I'm busy, I'm just like reaching for whatever is available, now I'm losing that structure, I'm getting in extra calories, so there's that consideration, right? So when they often say, why is it the most important meal of the day, it's usually because it keeps you on the straight and narrow, right? So yeah, few thoughts there, so that is it. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, we'd be happy to take them. Yeah. Sure.
sort of interpreting menus.
Oh yeah, that.
Let's see. Let me take a look too.
My husband, who really eats like that, we're kind of surprised at this choice. Not to criticize.
Right.
It says smoked Nashville chicken sandwich,
Mm-hmm.
crispy smoked chicken breast, glazed with Nashville hot sauce. But I'd say that's fried.
Yes.
So, how do you handle that as a patron? I mean, should it say?
So it is.
How are you
it is
cooking that?
okay to be high maintenance in a restaurant. What's the question? She's wondering about like that says glazed, but it looks fried.
Yeah.
And so, I'll let Ben answer first.
So
Yeah.
it's
So
probably
you.
good to be really careful and say, how do
Yeah,
you-
it would be like, hey, is this grilled, right? And then if there's enough requests for that, hey, can you guys add a grilled one to the menu or something that could be beneficial? That's what I would say for sure, because yeah, that way you're getting what you want to begin with, right? And then for any food, if you're like, oh, this one food is more calorically dense than other, like like ribs or something, like if you want to work it in once a week, do it. It's all about portion control, right? Like I'm gonna have 3 ribs. I'm not gonna have the whole rack, that sort of thing, right? So I'm not gonna have that or quote unquote heavy hitter calorie dense food, but I'll be fine because I know at the next meal I'm gonna have something like we're having, right, like the chicken with the salad and my carbohydrate that we talked about earlier, and it'd be just fine, right? And that's what helps to make a lifestyle, right? Like I can enjoy some fries or a fried sandwich or something for one meal. But look, I'm not going to be doing that at every meal. It's my next meal I'm making at home or whatever, right? So that would be my approach here, because we all find ourselves in a pickle sometimes with that too,
Pickles would be good.
Yeah, and pickles are good. I love pickles. Yeah.
I think when it comes, I probably wouldn't interpret that, but that word crispy, when you see that
Oh yeah, whenever you
in
see
the restaurant menu.
Yes.
Well, and then also
It's
if
gonna
you
be
see
fried.
Nashville, that should be a kicker that it's not going to be very healthy. When you see Nashville.
Yeah.
But also, what he was talking about with breakfast, it's a great answer with what's right for you. But on that healthy habit sheet, where it says a hunger satiety scale of staying 3 to 5, that's what he's talking about. Is
Yeah, keeps you full.
Yeah,
Yep.
You don't want to ever let yourself get to that point that you're starving, because you do not want a salad when you're starving.
And the other, that's a great point though. Thanks for bringing that back up, Joe. Because the other thing when you're starving is, it's like, all right, do I want to cook some chicken or something now? It's like, no, I need to eat right now. I don't have 20 minutes. I have 20 seconds, right? So yeah, that's the other thing. Keep the hunger at bay, so I'm not reaching for whatever's closest to me, right? And that way I'm good to go. Joey mentioned earlier about like, if we want to reduce having ice cream, right? Again, the extra calories there. I feel like I have the grandkids or the kids over or whatever, and they like this certain candy. They like cracker. They like Oreos or something. Like, so I need to have it in the house somewhere so I could give it to them. Let's make it harder to get. Like maybe we're putting it in the pantry behind something. So now I have it's back in this room somewhere. So I have to get up and go get it and move something out of the way. Like I've got 30 seconds to think about what I'm doing, right? Now it's easier to go, okay, yeah, that's going in contradiction to my goals. All right, I'll leave it for the kids, right? Like it's another way to just kind of, again, lower that barrier for entry, right? So
So in that sweet tooth side of things, have you guys ever made like protein balls? Like,
I make protein ice cream.
okay, so it's so a nut butter, so peanut butter or almond butter, honey, flaxseed, what am I missing?
You've got the majority of them there, yeah.
And then you add what you want for your sweet. So is it a raisin or a raisin? I add chocolate chips, but it's not the end of the world. I'm not eating a cookie, but it does satisfy sweet tooth. It does seem like, especially if it's raisin.
Yes. It's good to have some substitutions, right? Like what I do all the time, the substitutions that curb that, that sweet tooth or that tooth, right? Something that you can fill that gap with. Like I'll often make a protein pancake in the morning. Like I'm like, man, I really want some French toast right now. Well, let me have my protein pancake. Like I'll blend oats, protein powder, some eggs, egg whites. Maybe I'll put a little cottage cheese in there. Now it's high in protein, really filling. And maybe I'll put like some cinnamon, some nutmeg, some vanilla extract in there, maybe a little sugar-free maple syrup on top. Like, yeah, it's not gonna be exactly what I could order at First Watch or something, but it's pretty good, right? Like, it'll get the job done, you know, make me for why to, you know, go out and have something else. Yes.
On that note, would you ever consider doing like a simple cooking class or meal prepping class or anything?
I think that sounds like a cool idea. Yeah. Absolutely. Chef Ben. You guys need to watch my YouTube channel because I have a lot of recipe videos and meal prep videos too. So, but yeah, I think we had like some. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. These are some ideas. We wanted ideas. So, okay. Take some notes of that.
So he's going to give you the good cooking tips, but if you're somebody like me that wants shortcuts,
Yeah, short and sweet, right?
I tell you what, you have to plan.
Yes.
If you don't plan, you are not going to eat healthy. You eat healthy. Exactly.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't have to be the same day. Pick the day of the week that works for you. And then that's a Wednesday. Okay, so you're planning Wednesday throughout the weekend.
Right.
And for me, I have to prep all my salads in advance. Because if I get home from the gym and I'm starving, I don't want to take 30 minutes to prep my salad. I want to eat
Right.
what's available.
Right now. Yep.
And so I always keep protein shredded up. I always have chicken shredded up in the fridge, or ground beef, or I have meats prepared in the fridge, and then I always have a salad prepared. So then that way I can just assemble, and my meal's ready in 5 minutes.
And yeah.
Smoothies? Yep.
There we go. Yeah, it's easy to whip that up, get ready to go. And yeah, all the foods that you just mentioned, Jill, like I take a similar approach. I'll have a day, like a Saturday or Sunday, where I'll prep like some bulk protein, carbohydrate options, you know, from this list. And I can make them a bunch of different ways. Like I take something as boring as chicken and rice. I can prep easily. I mean, rice cooker, you don't have to do anything. You put it in there, press a button, and it just does a thing. Like, so I could take that and make it a bunch of different meals. Let me give you an example. Like one night could be, you know, Chinese food night, right? Like this is going to be my chicken, rice, soy sauce, like avocado, you know, cucumber, whatever, broccoli, right? That's easy to make, and it's going to have a certain taste, right? It's Chinese food, right? All right, well, maybe the next day I'm like, all right, I don't want to have this 7 days a week, 365, right? So maybe the next time it's Tex-Mex day, right? So now it's like my Chipotle bowl where I'm taking the base, the rice, the chicken breast, and I'm adding salsa and light sour cream and some, you know, assorted veggies in there, right? So now it's like a Chipotle bowl, right? Maybe another day I can go, oh, I want this to be like, you know, something I can order at Rice and Beans or something, like a Puerto Rican type dish, right? So now I could put like, you know, a little barbecue or a little sugar-free barbecue on my chicken, toss it in there, mix it up, put in some black beans or rice. Like the base is still the same, but I'm switching up the ingredients just a little bit. That's easy to do, right? It still tastes good. It keeps it from getting boring, and that way I'm good to go, right? I'll do the same thing with like pasta. Like I can make a bunch of pasta just like I make a bunch of rice, have it ready to go, and then I'm just putting, you know, the lean meat. Maybe it's like, okay, maybe I'm getting some 96.4 beef at the store, right? So maybe it's pretty much just protein. So I could take that base, I could take the pasta base, maybe it's a white and wheat pasta, whatever. Maybe I'm just putting some plain marinara sauce in there and like a scoop of grated cheese, right? There we go. Yes, it's not exactly spaghetti bolognese I could get at the Italian restaurant, right? But again, it kind of curbs that itch, right? So like, all right, you know, maybe every now and then I'll go have that different thing, that different food. But like, I could eat that every single day. I could say, because I'm Italian, so I mean, I'm kind of partial to that. But you know, it's kind of that point, right? Just make it easy, right? Because again, it lowers that barrier to entry, right? And that's what makes it a lifestyle, you know. So.
Well, and then to address one more thing with nutrition and with the question about protein. So I mean, you asked a great question with, you know, how does protein help osteoporosis?
Mm-hmm.
And Ben's answer was perfect. But something else I want you to realize is that when you don't give your body the water it needs
And, and that's I'm glad you brought that back up too, because also if I'm dehydrated, I may think I'm hungry more often, but it's like I just need to drink some water, right? Like just get some fluid in there, right? Yeah, and like what I do, I don't know, I'm a meathead at heart. I have shaker bottles around all the time, so I got like those 24-ounce shaker bottles all the time. So it's like, hey, if I have 4 or 5 of those a day, I'm getting close to a gallon. I stay hydrated. And it forces me to get that down. So if I just had a little cup, next to my desk when I'm working, like, yeah, I'll finish it, and then I'm not going to get up for 3 hours. I won't have any more, right? Like, just have a larger bottle nearby. Have your Stanley, the tumbler mug, whatever. That helps out, when you're at home or on the go. You can put it in your golf cart and have a 40-ounce one ready to go. So that's a good point as well. Yep.
Also, you mentioned like for lunch, a turkey sandwich with
Mm-hmm.
lettuce, tomato, whatever. Deli meat. Now, big difference between getting it at the deli and getting it already processed.
Sure. Yeah, it's already it is a processed source, right? But it is convenient too. So it is a good swap, as opposed to what the alternative would be, right? And
Processed deli meat.
yes, I would say, if you're able to get the fresh sliced stuff, great. If you're able to just shred some chicken at home that's just to get as close to nature as possible, it's pretty much just chicken, then that's great as well. If you're like, man, it's just too much of a hassle for me the majority of the time, then maybe that's a good option, right? The dosage is the poison, right? Like if I have a couple ounces, a few slices on my sandwich, and like, we're probably going to be fine, right? But again, right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's, maybe that's one of the meals for the week, right? So you mentioned, okay, 3 days, right? So maybe the first 3 days it's the fresher stuff, and then maybe we're going the other 2 days, oh, I'm going to have more of that processed stuff, right? And then if I'm able to shred some chicken and put that in my sandwich, or shred some pork tenderloin and put it in my sandwich or whatever, there you go, right? And that could kind of help you out. Or if you're making a wrap or whatever, right? Because again, what would the alternative be, right? And that would be, oh, I need to order something, right? What can I get while I'm hungry, So yeah, that's a very good point though, and that's why I sometimes will also do the chicken and rice prep, or the turkey and rice prep, or I'll put it in a small Tupperware container. I make it, if I have access to a microwave, I can heat it up, it'll taste good. If I don't, I'll make sure it's something that I'll enjoy eating cold, right? Like I could have, like a Chipotle type bowl or something, and if it is cold, it's still going to taste pretty good, right? But if it's something I wanted to have warm, I'm like, I don't want to eat this cold food. Like this is not going to fit the bill, right? But if you make that swap for something you do enjoy having, something you find palatable, then that'll help you stick to it for good, for the long run. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the goal is to give you some ideas, just get you kind of thinking outside the box there.
Yeah, but it's that whole path of least resistance, like we were talking about at the very beginning. Make good habits easy, bad habits hard.
Yes.
And so what? Lunch meat isn't your number one choice for your protein source, but like you said, it's better than what your alternative is going to be. And so I like to give the example. I grew up in mid-Missouri, and it drives my mom, who she would come to visit, it would drive her insane that I would buy my cantaloupe and watermelon and veggie street fest. And she's like, Jill, you know how much money you are spending on doing that. It doesn't take you any time to cut up. And it's like,
yeah.
I said, Mom, I'm trying to eat healthier, and if that watermelon is going to sit on my counter, and I'm going to throw it away. If it's
yeah.
in my fridge,
Yep.
I'm going to eat it. So even though that is not a good economical choice at all, if it's the path to least resistance for you, you have to take the path of least resistance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. So the good answer to what I should be doing is I just love prepping food, but we're on the baseline planning. I chop up all my vegetables on the same day. I wash them all, I put them in the fridge, so again, they're ready to go. I also highly recommend stocking your freezer with frozen fruits and vegetables. Did you already cover that?
No, but no, that's a great one. Yeah, the frozen, they have it there, like the berries, the mixed berries you can get at the store. You get a huge pack of it ready to go, and you can make like the protein smoothie, right? Or and be in a good spot. And like, I'll keep an eye on the sales. Like a few weeks ago, Aldi had their thin cut chicken breast on sale, so I bought like all of it. It was like $2.99 a pound. I was like, I can prep this and make this really good. Like I have my air fryer I use all the time to cook my chicken breast. I'll make a marinade with like the G Hughes sauces. Like they're great. They have like a Thai chili. They have Aldi had like a $2. What? G Hughes brand. Like Publix has a whole bunch of them. They have like G Hughes. They have like a barbecue or Polynesian or honey mustard. They're sugar free, so you want to add a little bit to your meal, make it taste better, and keep the calories down a little bit. They're good. I really like them, but I'll make a marinade with them. It's GHUGHES. Yeah, if you look at in the condiment aisle, right, it's where you like put a ketchup with you or whatever. Yeah, they have a whole bunch of them. Publix is the whole gamut. You know, Walmart does too. But yeah, I mean, it makes the food taste great because, like, if I get the chicken breast, I just cook it. Like, it would be plain and boring. I gotta make it a little bit more interesting because I'm not gonna want it, right? But so.
Consumer Reports said frozen vegetables are healthier, which is the best it is.
They're flash frozen. Yep.
There, yep, you should leave them.
And they pick them.
Yeah, people think that fresh is best, but frozen is actually because it's frozen at its ripeness, so that's where you get the most nutrients. If you have fresh food, how long has it been on the truck? How long has it been
Right.
on the grocery store shelf? I mean,
Have you ever tried to buy a cucumber at the grocery store before? You're like going through the pile forever.
and so, but you have things frozen, and then it's always there. And
Yeah.
You can assemble meals so quickly because, like you said, you have the meats already prepared. You're just going to add a sauce or whatever you're going to do to make it flavorful. And while you're making it flavorful, you stick in frozen broccoli in the microwave, and you're done.
So easy.
The meal is done in 5 minutes.
Yep.
It-
Right on the bed, that's what we
Exactly.
You can eat an
Yeah.
entire bag. But you better be drinking water if you eat an entire bag.
Yeah, it's something you mentioned before, Kirk. Like he said, like the deli meat only lasts for a few days. It's the same thing with, like I just said, chicken breast. Like with the chicken breast, but I could freeze that too. And if I know, hey, I need to eat tomorrow, okay, well let me take it out today and put it in the refrigerator. You know, whether if I have it, if I froze it raw or I cooked it and froze it, it'll be ready to go. Like I will cook a week's worth ahead of time, and then I'll put it in the refrigerator thawed out. This way, I'm not like sticking it in a microwave and it comes out tasting like leather. Like that's not good. But if I thaw it out naturally, if you will, in the fridge, hey, it'll be ready to go, right? So I'm good for a few days. Freeze extra. There we go. I mean, like with ground meats, a lot of times I'll get a few pounds of it and I'll make like some 4 or 5 ounce patties of like a ground turkey or ground chicken or something like that, and I'll cook it and I'll freeze it, and I can just like thaw it out in the air fryer or in the fridge. I can make a quick sandwich, right? You know, if you like to get creative, you can keep it simple, and that kind of makes it easier as well because like we've all been in a predicament of, oh, I got all the stuff ready, oh, it's all going bad. What do I do now? The freezer could be your friend too. Yep.
Silly question. How long does a smoothie sit fresh in the freezer?
A which?
A smoothie?
If it's in the freezer, it's gonna be fresh for a while as long as it's sealed, right? So if you have like some like the berries and like all that pureed stuff, and it's in a Ziploc freezer bag, you should be good for a while. Yeah, I've left some stuff in the freezer for a while.
Or in a mason jar.
Mason jars are very, very good. Very tight seal, that's for sure. Yep. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, every few months, we're happy to do that. And like we were just talking about meal storage for the past 10 minutes. I can make a whole talk on that. We can talk about it. Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
It probably makes things more flavorful than I do. But yeah, so if you guys, do you like the lunchtime on Friday for talks?
Yeah, okay.
So if you all have my email because I'm going to get emails from you. And so if you want to email
Yeah.
And like I said at the beginning, we don't care if we're talking to 2 people or 50 people. We're passionate about it and we want to help. And what Ben can attest to, I can attest to, when you guys change your lives, you make some healthy habit changes, it ripples out. And you affect your whole family, you affect the people around you, and it's positive peer pressure.
Yeah.
You know that. When you go, look at the number of you that got salads today. That was positive peer pressure right there because you're coming to a nutrition talk, right?
It was a switch and made in that picture.
Yeah.
When you are going out to dinner with me, when you order, you don't have to ever tell anybody else what to order, how to eat, what to do. You do it for yourself, and it ripples out, and it makes a difference in everything.
Absolutely. Yep.
So yeah, just let us know what you guys want to do. Talk about what you want to do. We'll get it started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Hit us up and we'll oblige.